started a journey yesterday, and I want to take off from where we stopped. And I want you to understand that the Lord has a great plan and a great intention for our lives. He doesn't just want us to waste our time here on earth. He doesn't want us to I want to use the word fritter, but I'm wondering how do I place that such that you will understand what is in my mind. The Lord does not want us to waste the precious life, the precious time, and all attached opportunities that life offers in pursuing after wine that is not wine, in pursuing after life that is not life. And that's the cry of God's heart over this meeting. And that's why our hearts actually desire that in best possible way that love can explain it, we may express it to you for you to understand what God is actually looking for. It is, and with all due respect to servants of God who have been laboring before us in different places and in different spheres and spaces, and especially in this place, we also think that nobody is strong enough to do God's work. There is a need for us to synergize. There's a need for us to add our part, and then they add their part so that it can become whole for God to do what he wants to do in our time. Now, can I request that you come again to John chapter number 2 as we look at this story, the story of the marriage that took place in Cana of Galilee. I am just pointing some few issues there because we are still going to look at it during our Bible study, where we are going to deal with it very extensively in an interactive format so that we can rub minds together, we can draw from the wells of salvation with joy. Now, John chapter number 2. I read yesterday, and I know I have arrived at verse 6. Abi? That's where we paused yesterday. So let me read from verse 6. And there were set there 6 water pots of stone, after the manner of the purifying of the Jews, containing 2 or 3 firkins apiece, that is each. There was set there. There were 2 there. There in that place was set there in the very place. And I wish you will place that very correctly in your heart, so that as we go on, you may know that a man may be there and is not there. Okay? A man who comes to this meeting, possibly from Ore, can be in Okitipupa. Say, where are you? I'm in Okitipupa. Oh, are you in the meeting? Say, I am not there. Now, he is there because this meeting is holding right here in Okitipupa, but it's not where the meeting is being held. Am I making sense to you? And so the Bible says, and there in that place were 6 water pots set there. There was a there, which is that location. And there was another there, which is the proper location for the pots. So you can even be here and you are not here. Okay? You can be in this hall and yet you are blocked or veiled from approaching God. It is possible for you to be looking at me and you are not hearing anything. Is it possible? That happens that way. So I'd like you to know that there is a need for each of us to understand how to not just be there in the location, the general geographical location of a place. You must be able to also know the exact spot where you ought to be for you to receive the blessings that God has given to you. I was speaking with a couple of days. They went to take a loan and they have to be paying some amount of money every week. All right? Some few things went wrong while they were praying. They heard God, but they didn't hear God well. Okay, because you can hear God and you may misinterpret what he had said. All right. And he told, because I asked him, did you pray? He said, I prayed. What did God say? God said, you are permitted. Say, you are permitted or you are commanded. Because God will command. He said, go to the brook of Cherith, for I have commanded the ravens to feed you there. Go to Sarephat, I have commanded the widow to sustain you. God commands. When God speaks to his children, he commands them. And then he said, I thought that even now for transportation alone, I spend like 20,000 naira every week on transportation. And so I felt that to pay 11,000 naira every week will not be difficult. If I'm spending 20,000 naira every week on transportation, I'll be able to pay 11,000 naira every week. And I said, oh, you didn't understand. That 20,000 naira is coming seamlessly to you because you are where God wants you to be. Once you shift, that 20,000 naira will not flow in anymore. And so I asked him, since you take that thing, has it been coming? He said, no. He said, everything just went dry. I said, you shifted. You shifted. You see, no matter, I told him, I said, look, I am a servant of God. I'm not a businessman. I said, look, if I leave the work God has commanded me to do now, and I venture into business, I will suffer. Whatever provision that God sends to me now is because I am at the right location. Once I shift, that allocation will stop because your allocation will come to meet you in your location. When I say your location, not where you have located yourself, but where God himself has allocated you. Am I communicating? Are we together? Great. And so this Bible says, and there were set there. So I want you to take note of the word set, because I needed to say all of this so that when we move into the Bible study, you are not struggling at all. And by the time we are concluding this meeting in the afternoon, you will not be confused as to what God brought you here to do. The pots were there and were there. But you see, despite the fact that they were in the geographical location, Cana of Galilee, and they were where they ought to be for Jesus to spot them, the Bible said they were set. The word set could mean arranged. The word set could mean ready. The word set could mean properly placed. I know women understand what it means to set. Excuse me, when you go to the table to set the table, I am thinking if you go to any place, or if you see any woman who sets the table, you will notice that they don't just place plates anyhow. All right? If you go to a standard restaurant to go and eat, and you see the way they set table, you will notice that there is an arrangement. In fact, you'll be so shocked sometimes that when they put ordinary eba in your plate, you will be wondering whether it is eba they decorated that way. They will make that eba to look like a flower, like a petal. It's a setting. No, sometimes you go to a place, it's a setting, what you call you. Packaging. They are just taking my money. It's all packaging. See how they package kuli kuli. I have a daughter who sells kuli kuli, and you see the package. Say, is it kuli kuli that you decorated like this? Now, can I say to you that many times it is not difficult to bless us, but when we are not set. Now, can I say this so that you understand what I'm saying? If those pots were lying face down, would Jesus ask that they should be pouring water on their backs? All right? So when you see a life that is turned on its head, when you see a man whose life is upside down, he is not set for the new wine. When you see a man who does things other way around, who is not facing the direction that God wants him to face, God will not waste his resources on such a man because he is not set. So I'm asking, when will you be set in this new set of men that God is raising? When will you set your life aright? When will you set your priority aright? When will you set your time aright? When will you set your heart aright? That God may pour into you that will change your story permanently. The pots were there, but they were not there randomly. The pots were there, but they were not there staggerly. The pots were there, they were not there in disorderliness. They were there set. And I know the pots can't set themselves. Somebody who is sensible must have set them. And I know there is nothing that can set a man's rights like the Word of God and like Jesus himself. I read about a man in the Bible. He was palsied, paralyzed, and for 38 years he sat beside a pool called the Pool of Bethsaida. Do you remember that man? Now, I didn't know that his life was scattered until when Jesus healed him and he was carrying his bed, and the Jews accosted him and they said, look, it is not lawful for you to carry your bed on a Sabbath day. Then he looked straight into their eyes and said, the one who made me whole, the same commanded me to carry my bed. So I said, oh, you mean your life was in pieces? He picked the pieces together and he made it whole. The man who made me whole commanded me to carry my bed. If Samsung made a phone, it put pieces of components together, the screen, the the motherboard and everything, and then the parts, and then it's a phone. Samsung should be the one to write instruction manual. Techno cannot do it. Apple cannot do it. And so if God will make your life whole, I think he will also instruct you how you should live your life. Is that all right? But I am dealing with something that nobody knows how to put pieces of life together. Life that have been scattered. Nobody does it better than Jesus. I read about Mary, the sister to Martha. Now, when you read about Mary, you will never know that Mary was once upon a time an harlot. The Bible called her a notorious harlot, town harlot. That same Mary that loved Jesus so much, that same Mary that broke an alabaster box of ointment and emptied it on Jesus, that Mary that sat at Jesus' feet, listened to Jesus, who chose one part that is needful. That Mary used to be an harlot. Her life was scattered. And I don't know how you have been living your life before now. I don't know whether you are a glorified prostitute in Okitipa land here or somewhere else. I don't know whether you have been reduced to actually you have been painted a commercial vehicle that anybody enters everywhere. Maybe you are even a Yahoo boy committing cyber crime every day. Your life is scattered. People have played curse on your life, and you yourself, you know you can never be anybody in life because of evil you have done to men. Can I say this to you? That if you allow Jesus a space in your life, it will set your life. And it will set it aright. It could be your education, your academics that is scattered. It could be your marriage that is scattered. It could be your future that is unsure. All you need is to allow Jesus a space in your space. He knows the arrangement of things, and he will arrange your life. Many of us came like that. Our lives were scattered. Me, I have thought I was a good-for-nothing human being. I had contemplated suicide before in my life. I felt life is not worth living after all, because there was nothing exciting about life. Everything was just upside down, and I thought I should end my life because it will amount to nothing. But when Christ came, he changed the story. He rearranged my life. He put my life in proper order. He put my life in proper perspective. And now I have a reason to live. I have a future to look forward to. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all my fears completely. Because I know he holds my future. My life is worth living just because he lives. One more time. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know, oh, he has my future. My life now is worth living just because he lives. I know he lives in heaven. But until he lives in you, your life is not worth living. I want to plead with you today that you give Jesus a chance in your life. Give him a chance in your space. Give him a chance in your thoughts. Give him a chance in your academics. Give him a chance in your marriage. Give him a chance in your future. And he will set it aright. The Bible says, and there were set there. So even if you are in the geographical location, which is the first there, and you are there at the right location, and you are not set, what comes next will not come. Imagine if those pots were lying on their sides. Would they be filled? Even if they try to pour water inside of them, what will happen? It will be pouring away. In fact, the water that will be coming inside will mix with sand because of the nearness of the mouth of the pot to the ground. So setting requires that this pot should be upright. This pot should sit facing the heavens. That is the setting that must be given to this pot if Christ is going to do what was in his mind with them. Excuse me. I want you to know that in all creatures that I have seen in my little time I have spent on the face of the earth, there is none that God created in upright position except human beings. No animal stands like this. Not even chimpanzee. Not even gorilla. Not even giraffe. Not even kangaroo. No, the only creature that God created to stand in upright position are human beings. And I know that a man could be standing in upright position and his life could be crooked. Crookedness, waywardness. When you see a life that is not straight, when you see a life that meanders, curvy, full of curves and bends, such a life can't receive what God wants to pour. Look, there are cars that in those days, the fuel tank of cars, they have straight neck, straight funnel. It is straight to the tank. So when you pour, you dispense fuel in those cars, and you need fuel, you can thrust hose inside the tank of that car and siphon it. Okay? But recent cars don't have straight funnels that leads to the tank. They are curves. So once fuel enters, you can't get it out. So of what use is Jesus demanding that water should be poured into a man's life, and from him we cannot draw wine. So if water enters into those 6 pots and the waters became wine, and yet because of the crookedness of the necks of those pots, we can't reach out onto the wine, would that wine be served? No. It is as good as having nothing. So I'd like to say to you, have you ever noticed this crookedness in your life that is not making God's life to flow? Every time you come for meetings like this, you hear God's word, but after you have heard it, nothing shows in your life that you ever heard any message. There is a crookedness somewhere that God must straighten out. Whatever it is that is not making the word of God to reflect in your life, whatever is making it as though you have taken in nothing, that thing is crookedness. We need to set it. We need to adjust that path so that as it goes in, it can come out. The Bible says they were set there. The setting of the pot is a critical matter. The setting of the pot is as good and as critical as the pouring of the water. When the sons of the prophet said to Elisha, where we dwell with thee is too straight for us. Let's go to Jordan, and each of us will take a beam and we'll build a place there for us to live. And Elisha gave them the go-ahead, and they went. When they got there, the Bible said, and they cut down woods. So that's what I noticed. I thought they said they were going there to go and fell beams. But when they got there, the Bible said they cut down woods. And as one was felling a beam, so I said, why the cutting of the wood? Why not face the business of cutting beams? In the process of cutting wood, the axe had become slack. So when they started to cut the beams, it was very easy for the axe head to jump off the helve and landed in Jordan. But you see, the challenge is that it will be needless for them to cut the beams when they have not cleared the ground where they are going to build. So the cutting of the wood is as critical as the cutting of the beams. And so I want to say to you that this setting is critical, and is as critical as the pouring of the water. Your life, my life, must be set to receive what heaven has for us. What is it? And you'll be shocked that the same thing that affects you in church is also affecting you in school. You listen to lectures, and when it is time to face exam, you couldn't remember anything. You get to the hostel, everything the lecturer taught you had evaporated. And you wonder, what happens? Now, it's a crookedness in a system in your life that God must deal with. Set it. We need to set it. God needs to set that aright so that He doesn't waste what He has prepared for us in this meeting. Now, I also realize that part of the setting is to open the lids, the covers of the pot. Arranged, upright, it must also be open. If it is upright and they are covered, excuse me, would they be able to receive anything? No. So part of the setting is to remove the lid, the covers. And that one speaks to the second set that I like to tell you about, which is ready. The first set is to arrange, put them in proper position. The second setting is to make them what? Ready. So they open all the covers. When they were open, they said, yes, these pots are ready to receive. These pots are now showing their thirst, because in the opening of the covers, we could see the inside, and we could see the emptiness of the pot. We could see dirt in the pot, and say, please, before you pour water inside this one, Can you please wash it? Can you please wash this one? This one has dirt inside. Look, I don't want to hide it from you. When you see a man who is not open to God, who does not open his heart, especially those things that we prefer to cover. When you see a man, when you see a woman who does not want to open such unto God, God does not look at such a man as ready for divine blessing. Even though he is in the right place, even though he is in upright position, even though well positioned, yet not opening up, will not attract divine blessing. I will remind you very quickly the story of Jacob. And I know you know Jacob very well. Now, Jacob left his father's house for about 20 solid years. And now he was coming with a large flock, married to 4 women, and having about 11 or 12 children. That man looked so blessed because of the flock, great heart that he had. But you know, when he got to this place named Peniel, an angel wrestled with him, or he wrestled with an angel. Don't let me say an angel wrestled with him. He's the one that is wrestling with the angel. The angel came to bless him, but he would not allow the angel to bless him. His sin was haunting him. Because it was in the night, already he was thinking, this is my thinking, no, he was thinking it was Esau who came. So they began this fight, and they fought all night. When the day was breaking, the angel said, well, since you will not allow me to do what God sent me to do, let me be going. So it was at that time Jacob saw that, oh, this is not Esau. I have offended this man. If he should go like this, with what I have done to him all night, look, he said, bless me, else I will not allow you to go. In my mind, I thought Jacob was blessed because he had flocks, had camels, horses, asses, animals. Somebody who had car, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You think he's not blessed? Somebody who can marry 4 women. Excuse me, you don't get money? I go take marry 4 women if you don't get money. 11 children. Me and my wife, we have 2. Even those 2. We Sabia. So I just wonder, what happens if we have 4? When they bring bill in those days when they were still in school, I just wonder, is this what my parents went through? It was when I started sending them to school that I began to appreciate my parents more. Please, take good care of your parents. It's not easy to raise a child. For all I care, I know it. Because today I'm a parent. I didn't understand it before. But now I have a perfect understanding. When my children were in school, I will have money like this, I won't be able to touch it. Because I'll be waiting that they may call anytime. And once they call, I know they didn't call me to greet me. If they say, good morning, sir, good morning, daddy, it's just mere formality. The next thing is, now, this man, I thought was blessed enough. But he said, bless me. And so that angel said, yes, I want to bless you. But there is something covering your pot. Even if I release blessing now, it will not enter. He said, what is it? Say you cover now. 20 years ago, your father asked you, who are you? And you said your name was Esau. You covered your identity. And so if we want to bless now, we can't bless Jacob. We can only bless Esau. Because Jacob is covered. So can I ask that question again? What is your name? And for the first time in 20 years, Jacob opened up and said, my name is Jacob. I'm a cheat. I'm a supplanter. I'm a swindler. You see, everything you see around me here, I Jacob them. These women, I Jacobed. These cattle, I Jacobed. These horses, I Jacobed. These camels, I Jacobed. Everything, even me self, I be Jacob. Until he opened that, the angel was not ready or considered him ready to receive the blessing. So I'd like to ask you, what are you covering? What are you sitting upon? Like Rachel. What are you covering? What are you hiding? What is it that you have never opened up to discuss with any man on earth? You kept it secret up until now. And now we have come for new wine. God is saying, except you open this, I can't pour new wine into your life. Sir, what are you covering? The lady you slept with that gave birth to a child, and in secret, your wife does not know about it. The man that slept with you, and you have kept relationships secret up to now. That covering is the reason new wine will not come. It's part of the setting. If the setting is not right, you can't have the right input from God. And I want to think deeply. Look, Yoruba says, Onikulumoka. You are the only one who could tell what is inside. You are the only one who could tell what you are covering. I am the only one that can tell what I'm covering. You can't tell, except God reveals to you. I can't tell too. You know, this morning God opened my eyes and I saw a lady was receiving a call, and the call was on speaker in a revelation, and it was so loud, and one old man was calling her and without shame was saying, look, don't worry, I'll come. Sex at home, even in the office. The lady walks with that man, and I don't know whether you are here. Walking with a man, an old man that is old enough to be your father, and you have been sleeping together, and you are shameless about it. It's a covering over your life that will keep God's blessing far away from you. And so when it's time for you to really, really settle down and marry, because you are not set, you can't settle. And I wish that this morning you will not hide that from God. If you are here and if you are online, you will have to communicate with us so that we can beg God together with you and have him help you so that he can pour this new life, this new wine into your life. I told you yesterday that the labor to produce water pot of stone is so enormous that you don't expect such a pot to be used for water to wash people's feet. Abba. Many years ago, somebody gave me a car, and it was a brand new car. And we were to hold a retreat like this. So I traveled to go and buy cow in Erua, since it's cheaper there than Ibadan. So I saw firewood on the way as I was coming. So I bought firewood. So I put it inside that car. Brand new cow. Not Okumbo. New chassis, tear rubber. Now I didn't understand when I was driving through the bush. It was when I entered into the town that I understood that I have committed a crime. When people will look at me and use their eyes to flog me, say, you must be crazy. It's inside this kind of car you have parked firewood. So I will be wondering, what's the problem? Before I realized that it was the firewood inside my car that is making them to look at me with evil eyes. They look at me as otaje. But you see, because in my mind, I just felt, now God's car now, for God's work. Let him do God's work. That's my heart. And I never changed. And I won't change. No matter what it is that God has given to me, I will not abuse it, but I will not worship it. Am I making sense to you? All right. But you see, what brought me there is that I can't have something, look, I can't have something that is precious and I will just handle it roughly. It doesn't work. So I can't spend so much money. Look, this is not Sunday, so I know sisters will not come in their best footwears. But if it's Sunday now, no, sisters will come with their best shoes. Now, don't ever think that they are going to use that shoe to walk on the streets. Once the service is over, they will remove the shoes, pack it inside their bag, and bring out one shoe that if it's spoiled, it will concern them. Why are they doing that, please? Because they treasure that shoe. When you see somebody in the office that wear high heel shoes and is doing and is catwalking in the office, he doesn't go home like that. He knows the office ties are smooth and is good, and she knows that this will not spoil her shoes, because such shoes could be very costly. And I'm also thinking that if a man has sweated so long, so much, with blistered hands to produce a pot, why will you use that to be washing people's feet? Why won't you use it to be drinking water, to fetch water that you will drink yourself? But I know this is what the devil does. Sent you to God will sponsor your education. You have gone to school, you are brilliant. You have come out in first class, or you have 2-1. And then that same person, that same brilliant chap, is the same person the devil is introducing to homosexuality. How? I say how? How can an intelligent person like you be an homosexual? For female, they call it lesbianism. Is it not? She's a lesbian. And in my own interpretation, I think lesbian means less than a beast. How can a brilliant person like you are, beautiful, pretty lady that you are, be less than a beast? What animals will not do, you are doing. Think calm now. Think about it. We cannot take the insult of the enemy reducing us to something that is ignoble and yet covered our own head that Jesus will not be able to help us. The opening of Jordan, when the priests bearing the Ark of Covenant stepped into Jordan, and Jordan cut off and opened its belly, and the priests bearing Ark stood in the midst of Jordan until everybody passed to the other side. By the time they passed to the other side, the entire belly of Jordan was open. And God said to Joshua, command 12 men to go inside Jordan and pick 12 stones. Nobody knew those stones were there. But because Jordan opened, those stones were discovered. And God meant those stones ought not to be there. Can you go and remove them? And they removed them, and they erected them an altar. And God said to Joshua, now go and put another 12 stones, not the one you remove. Let's lay a new foundation. Let's give Jordan a new wine. But this one, it won't be scattered stone. Raise it as an altar. Now, if Jordan did not open, what was removed from Jordan will not be removed. And what was planted inside Jordan will not be planted. So, years later, I think, when a man like Naaman was told to go to Jordan to go and wash and be clean, and he said to himself, I thought he was going to come out and put his hand on my body. In fact, if I want to wash, don't I have Abana and Pafa, better rivers of Damascus? I said, go and wash inside that one now, and let's see whether anything will happen. Has Abana ever opened before? Has Pafa ever opened before? Sucked that the stones inside of them removed? If you see a man that God has a covenant with and is using him mightily, that man must have been open to God. Certain things must have been removed from that man's life, and God must have planted new things in that man's life. And I want to say to you this morning, if God will help us, if God will respond to us, we must set our hearts. We must open up so that those things that ought not to be in us can be removed, and those things that should be there can be planted there. Until then, we are not set there. Until then, we are there, we are not set. And this verse 6 says, and there was set there 6 water pots of stone, after the manner of the purifying of the Jews, containing 2 or 3 firkins apiece, 20 to 30 gallons each. I spoke about that a little yesterday, but I just want to tie this now so that we can move and take the Bible study before we take a break. And we want to manage the time that we have very effectively. But let me quickly read the verse I want to read, and I will close with it. But don't forget the emphasis of there was set there. The setting. They are critical in this. Can I read verse number 7? All right. Jesus said unto them, fill the water pot with what, please? With water. And they filled them up. How? To the brim. I may not be able to push this because I want to pause in 5 minutes' time. If this clock is correct, I want to stop in 5 minutes' time so that we can switch to our Bible study classes and take further instruction where the filling of water will be taking place. Jesus said unto them, fill the water pot. With what, please? Now, the fact that they were water pots does not mean that they will be filled with water. Have you ever gone to the market and you saw a bottle of Coca-Cola with palm oil inside? Eh? You've seen it before. What happened? What is oil doing inside the bottle of Coca-Cola? What did you say? They did what? They use it to measure oil. But it was meant for Coca-Cola now. Eh? They decide to use it. They recycled it. Kai. Did you hear what she said? They did what? They recycled it. And there are men recycled that way. What God made them for is not what they are being used for now. They are designed for something great, but the enemy has poured something terrible inside of them. May God today insist that your correct content be poured into your life. Jesus said, these are water pots. Don't pour kerosene inside because it looks like water. Don't pour methylated spirit because it looks like water. If you see a gogoro inside bottle from a distance, what do you think will be inside that bottle? You will think it's water. But it's terrible kind. A lot of people are there carrying what look like water, but actually it's not water. So Jesus said, fill this water pot with what, please? With water. Somebody is here that is meant for greatness. May God fill you with greatness. Somebody is here this morning. He is designed to be pot of honor. May God fill you with honor. I know someone is here this morning and it's a pot meant for grace. May God fill you with grace. Why will the enemy fill you with what you were never designed to contain? And Jesus was passing one day and he saw the temple. Outside they wrote the temple of God. When he went inside, he found trade of thieves and robbers. They have turned the temple to dens of thieves and robbers. But outside they wrote the temple of God. That's what I read in the Bible. Men, the devil, they are experts in recycling. Look, when I eat granite, or I want to buy granite, I am always skeptical of buying granite in plastic water bottle. Eh? You know why? Because those plastic, they pick anywhere. In fact, somebody could have used that plastic to carry urine for test in the laboratory. and then they will throw it into the trash can. Those who are picking things will just pick it, and then they will go and pour granite inside. Now, I'm not saying you should go and throw the one in your house away because it's inside plastic bottle. But I prefer the one in glass bottle. It appears they respect that one past this water bottle. Am I communicating? Now, the challenge here is very simple. The challenge here is this meeting and God who has brought you here want to fill your life with the right content. And you must allow him. You must cooperate with him. I thought my life was meant for something else until I open up and he's able to fill me with the right content. Now I can live for the reason for which I was born. Am I making sense to you? So when we talk about new wine, we're talking about lives into which God pours the right content. As I close, I want to ask you, do you think you are set for what God wants to do in your life and with your life? Rise to your feet. Rise to your feet. God wants to help you. And I believe he wants to help me too. God wants to lift me, wants to lift you. If he calls you, it's not to joke with your life. It doesn't waste people's time and life. No, he doesn't. What we're here to see, to experience, is a turning of our lives around. But it needs you to be set, properly arranging yourself, uprightly positioning yourself, and readily opening up for the pouring of the right content into your life. And this day, I want to find out, do I see anybody here? I don't know if there are real people who don't pretend in this place, who take responsibility, who will own up and say, look, God, I'm the one you are talking about. I have plenty things I covered, though, and I want to uncover them to you so that you can uncover your own tank and pour into my life. Until those pots were arranged uprightly and opened, nothing came inside of them. And if you are here, a sincere person, a real person, a person who does not pretend, a person who does not shift blame, a person who does not pass the buck, a person who takes responsibility, who will not blame another for his own problems, and you are saying, Lord, I know you are talking to me. I am the lady that is sleeping with my boss, and we have been shameless about it. I am the one that is covering plenty of rot. I just use perfume, deodorant to cover the smell. When I wear clothes and I put my powder, it's just to cover. It's a covering. I know there are rot inside. I am rotting inside, and I don't want to hide it anymore. Lord, how do you help me out? of this quagmire, of this quicksand, of this situation in which I have thrown myself. I want you to help me. Would you like to close your eyes? Would you like to close your eyes? Would you like to think about it? Are you set? Are you where God wants you to be? Are you standing uprightly with your head towards heaven? Is there crookedness in your life that will not allow water to flow in and flow out? Are there some twists and turns, bends and corners, nooks and crannies in your life? Are there things that are not straight in your life? Are you a straightforward person? Or is there something you are covering? And God is saying, look, the heavens are bending, wanting to release the shower, but you are covered. You are covering something up. If you open it, I will pour my grace. I will pour my wine. I will pour my spirit. And I've asked you to bring vessels, not a few. I want to fill you to the overflowing, but you are covered. And even if I pour now, it won't enter. It won't enter. Is there somebody who is sincere in this place? Is there a real brother here? Is there a real sister here who want to say, Lord, I want to uncover. I want to uncover myself before you so that you may pour into my life. I have secrets that nobody knows. My father does not know. My mother does not know. My husband does not know. My wife does not know. My children does not know. My friend does not know. No, none of my friends know. If you are like that, can you just open your heart unto God and start to talk to God now? And I want to beg you, for us to make it stronger, and you can just walk out quietly and come and meet me here and find a place to kneel down and talk to God yourself. I don't need to hear what you are saying. Tell him exactly what it is. And you can come to the altar. You are free. We are in our Father's house. And look, my life started like that. And when the devil wants to disgrace a man, he disgraces him publicly. He doesn't disgrace him in secret. And I think it is also better for you to disgrace the devil publicly. Shame him and say, Lord, I confess I'm a thief. I'm a killer. I'm a murderer. I have committed abortion. Which one will I count? So much abortion. So much abortion. I'm a drug addict. I smoke Indian hemp. I use cocaine. I use tramadol. All manner of hard drugs. I'm big on it. It's my pastime. Lord, please forgive me. Forgive me. I embezzle church money. The money for that project they contributed and they put in my hand. I have put my hand in it. And all the members of, even my wife, she don't know self. She dare not ask me self, who born her? I'm the only one who knows. But Lord, I want to open it. I want to uncover it. Can you please talk to the Lord? Can you speak to him now, where you are? And we are going to close right away so that we can move straight in that mood into our Bible study. Tell the Lord what it is. Are you a fornicator? Are you such a person that watch porn films in the night under the duvet? People will think you are praying, but you are watching open sex film and you are addicted to it. When you buy data, it is for that reason. No other reason. You don't do any research that gives you capacity except the one that drains you of godliness, that drains you of purity, that drains you of holiness. And then you come out completely empty and emptied. Will you beg God? Can you confess those things? Can you expose those things and say, Lord, please help me. Please help me. I don't want to continue like this. I am tired of this thing that drains me of my spiritual energy. I am tired.